Hi guys, we're here with Untitled for Blender, and today let's talk about the hot subject of subDing. To subd or not to subd, that's the question. There are people out there, who think that you need quads to run a subd modifier. We try to hunt them down, eventually gonna get them all, just takes time, so bear with us guys, but it's bollocks, yeah? You can have a subd modifier on n-gon mesh, and I'll show you. If you can, spot n-gons here, that's good. But if you can't, I'll show you my n-gons here. See these n-gons? Ooh, scary. So now I'm gonna go to my modifier stack, and you can see that I have a subdivision modifier running in here with bevel and mirror and weighted normals and booleans and all this junk. Okay, it's fine. You just need to know how to control the mesh. I actually have a video with this piece when I show how I fix a topology. It's a time lapse, so I can slow it down if you want. Anyway, so the question now, right, is why would you need subd and when not to use it? Well, the answer is very simple, right? If you don't need it, stay the fuck away from it, because it's just bad news, in my opinion. It's my opinion, okay? I use subd for very specific reasons. When I want something to look really smooth and curvy, and I need this level of curviness to be adjusted anytime I want. So for example, a pipe, right, which is curvy, and I want a lot of subd on it to make it very smooth. But for instance, if I had, and of course when you animate stuff, you do need quads. I mean, that's no-brainer, but that's a different story. We're talking about hard surface modeling, okay? For hard surface modeling, you do need subd sometimes, especially with very, like as I said, very curvy and complex curvy shapes. Okay, then subd might be, might be the good answer for your situation, unless you're gonna sculpt it. Okay, that's another option. Go to Blender and sculpt it, and then bring it to the as a solid object, decimate it and work from there. It's possible. Usually I don't use subd, and let me show you why. Okay, so we got this shape, and if I subd it now, right, it's gonna be a mess. However, if we go to edit mode, we could actually control this by, adding some creases, right? The thing is that, well, you could do it with bevels as well. Now, the cool thing about subd is that you can, let's add here as well, on these sides. Oops, not this one. Mark, there we go. Let's add some more subd, so Ctrl+3, so it's really smooth, right? Ish. And let's add the bevel to make it smooth, okay? Perfect. Now, the cool thing about subd is that, for example, if I wanted to make it bigger, it's not that difficult to change size and maintain this curvature, right? This smoothness. This is pretty cool, because subd will adjust. It will stretch, but it will adjust. Now, the problem with subd is that I can't just cut this thing like this with booleans that easily, because it's gonna be a mess, right? So preferably what you want to do with a subd mesh is you want to cut it using loop cuts. Now, the problem with this method is that as much as it's precise and, well, could be clean, it's destructive, right? I mean, you can't make non-destructive cuts like this. I mean, this is extrusion. It's just, that's it. You're done, right? So, if let's actually mark these edges here. Where are you bastard? Here, these two and these two. There you go, and let's mark them, right? There we go. So now you see, we got this shape here, but it's destructive. Another thing is it took bloody long time, and you still need to clean it up, because this is garbage, right? This needs to be cleaned up, and probably bevel is just too big, but you still need to clean it up. You see, you got pulling on corners and all this stuff, so you would need to run some loops around, probably another parameter, etc. So it's a lot of work. Now, it could be beneficial in certain situations, right? But again, it's destructive and it's a lot of headache. And there's going to be a lot of cleanup too, especially if you apply the subd, okay? So because now it's a simple mesh. But once you apply the subd, it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be a riot. You know what I mean? Control this. Good luck. You need to control so many things. Like, for example, you need to control how these edges flow, because look at this congestion here, right? This bending, all this you need to control, right? So there's a lot of work involved. So when I work on a hard surface model, I really need to think if if this is what I need. Okay, so if I really need the SUBDIVIDE, or do I really need it? Okay, is it necessary? That's a good question. So let's see how would we attack this from a different perspective. Okay, so let's grab these edges and GG, and let's mirror this and let's bevel this, right? So let's go to object mode and let's bevel this. Let's add sharpen. Let's sharpen these two edges. Whoops, not this one. So let's sharpen these two edges, right? And the angle will not catch them, which means it's a little bit too shallow. Fine. So let's move these faces a little bit outside. Okay, so SY, and scale them outside until the bevel kicks in. There we go. So now we have a similar situation. The only difference is that we need to make this face a little bit wider, and then we need to introduce a bevel here, right, like this, to create this curvature, right, like we have here. Now you're thinking, okay, but you can't that easily adjust this curve, right? Well, actually you can. You see, because if you really wanted to, right, even if you have booleans, right, in it, see that's the advantage of working with non-SUBD mesh, that you can cut the shit out of it, and everything is live. Okay, everything is live. You can change all these cuts. Okay, they are not permanent. In addition to this one, you can very easily control bevels, because if you're using something like hard obs, you can go to step, which will add a bevel, which is at half angle. So now when I'm gonna cut this mesh, right? It's a mirror side. Now when I'm gonna cut this mesh, okay, these bevels, they're gonna be, let's cut here because it's gonna be easier to see. These bevels are gonna be at half size, and now I can adjust each of them separately. You see. So I got this bevel and this bevel. So I can have very precise bevel on this side, okay, and really thin, thick bevel, on the main mesh. See what I mean? So this you would need to do it manually on SUBD, because you can run automatic bevel, but good luck running multiple bevels on a vanilla mesh. It's a headache. Ask Gleb, he has a video on this one. I was watching and I was dying inside slowly. So if you don't have a machine to mesh machine in hard ops, you're gonna have a bad day. But that's why these add-ons are out there. That's what they for. So again, now let's say you're gonna say, okay, fine, but you can't do shit with this mesh. Well, that's bollocks. I can, because what I can do if I wanted to, right? I could go to dice and slice the hell out of it, right, like this. Of course, I'm gonna have to do some, damage control, run some damage control over here. So probably decrease the size of the bevel. There we go. Everything is peachy. And now I got this mesh sliced, correct? So now what I'm gonna do, right, I'm going to apply lattice to it. So Lattice Modifier, right? And let's go with, I think it's gonna be on, nope, it's gonna be on X. Perfect. And lattice is also fantastic with hard ops. It's so easy to work with this thing. So let's slice it like that. And actually, you know what, that's too many. Let's just grab a few, like that many. And then I'm gonna go to B select, and we can have some fun. So now, for example, I could move this, like that. And you tell me that I can't deform my mesh. Of course I can. You just need to know how. So let's select these, and let's select these, and go the other way. Boom. And I don't need SUBD. I can do it like this, you see. Of course, you're going to do some cleaning, but, and there are limits to which you can push it. But let's apply weighted normals. But you can deform your mesh. Now, the advantage of this one, of course, is, right, that all my modifiers are still live, which means I can still adjust my stuff. See what I mean? You can't do it on SUBD mesh. So there's a compromise, right? This one is not going to be, you're not going to be able to increase the resolution. But in this one, you're going to spend a lot of time and you don't have as much control. So you need to choose which one is best for you, okay? Again, mesh needs to have a purpose. If you have a clear purpose and you know what you want, then you know which tools to use. It's like in a camera when you're using depth of field. Sometimes you want it, sometimes you don't. Why would you want to use a shallow depth of field, so, you know, very small area of focus on a fucking landscape? It just makes no sense. Right? You want to use a narrow aperture to get as much in focus as possible, unless you're doing some creative stuff. But that's what I mean. So in here is the same thing. You need to know what you want to do with this mesh. If it's going to be a static element in a bot, then what the hell would you need a SUBD for? In addition to all of this, right? When I apply all these, you know, when I apply all of these, all of the modifiers, right? And this is with the dice. But if I didn't have dice on it going on, right? Just no dice, just the mesh, and I'm going to apply the modifier. Look how clean my mesh is, you know? I mean, there's like almost no geo in here, right? And when I apply stuff to this one, right? You know, see what I mean? It's a headache, right? Then again, not many people apply SUBD to a mesh, but if you want to run some booleans on it, you might have to. Like, for example, I have this model of a plane, not plane, like a ship, what's it called? The Moondragon, where is it? This one, right? So let's open something like maybe 34. And I'll show you. So this is a good example, okay? Let me turn off the maths here. Not texture, object. There we go. So all these elements are booleans, right? All these are bools. This is being cut. However, what I cut it in is actually a SUBD mesh, you see? So I was cutting on a mesh that was SUBD'd and the SUBD was applied. Because I didn't want to, because for me it was easier to deal with cleaning the booleans rather than running those stupid loops and cutting shit manually. It's just too much work. Because you see, with stuff like, for example, watch this. With stuff like, for example, let me duplicate this, right, and bring it to local mode. So if I, for example, want to cut a boolean in here in this mesh, right? So let's cut an hang-on, okay, like this, right? Whoops, I need to go to view mode. Give me a sec. So view, and now let's cut it again, okay? Right? So we're gonna cut this, and I'm gonna apply it, okay? So not bevel, I'm gonna apply it, sharpen, right? And now I will need to do a bit of a cleanup, okay? But it's easier for me to do it with, for example, stuff like mesh machine, okay? Because all I do is simply select, I select the edge, okay, around the bool, go to vert mode, I go to Y menu, Boolean Cleanup, and it will do it for me, you know? So all I need to do is change the mode, you see? And it will just literally clean those verts for me, right? And all I need to do is simply reconnect stuff that I wanted to be connected, right? So it's just that easy, you know? So when you use add-ons, this is easier. So I do use SUBD mesh, but I use it differently, okay? See, that's SUBD, it's quite dense too, right? But I don't need to deform it anymore because I committed to a form. And I know that I will not be changing the shape, because the way you model something, you start with something that's a basic shape, and you commit to it. And once you commit to it and you start adding details, you don't really want to change that shape, right? You still can, but you know, there would be a headache on any mesh, SUBD or no SUBD. Okay. So, you know, because, for example, in SUBD mesh, you're going to have these destructive cuts. On a non-SUBD mesh, you need to figure how to deal with geometry and you know, changing the shape of it, which will pull probably some places, you know, you have to move some booleans. So, doesn't matter what you do, you're going to have a headache. So you need to decide which headache is gonna, you know, which of the methods gonna cause you less headache, right? And choose that one. So it's not about which is, you know, which method is best. No, it's about which method is best in this concrete, very specific situation. And that's how you should think about SUBD or non-SUBD, okay? You gotta pick your battles in a smart way, yeah? You're gonna go far. So for example, if I was to create a simple shape, let's say, you know, let's say something like this, okay? So let's go to side view and let's apply the scale. Let's really quickly cut some endgun in here like this, and let's grab some, you know, some cuts on the side, and let's cut some openings here. Now before I apply this boolean, let's run a cut here. So I'm gonna run cut in the middle with knife. So when I apply the this, what did I do? Did I slice it? That's not what I want to do. I wanted to actually knife it. So knife and slice it with knife. There you go. Then when I apply it, right, I'm gonna have this line in the middle. Perfect. So now I can select these edges and bevel them. Okay. Whoops. So let's bevel these, right, and let's apply some bevel to it at the end. Okay. So now watch. Got some issue here. We can fix this. So what we can do now, see, that's the problem. We got overshooting bevel. It's okay. Let's go back a little bit. Let's select all these. Go to occlude. Let's go box select. Let's select all these and move it on y-axis a little bit to the middle. And now it should be peachy. So Shift G, direction, and let's bevel the corners. Whoops, it's pulling the side things. Okay, fine. Let's do it manually. So let's pull these, select these, and let's bevel it, and let's bevel the whole thing right now. Bevel's gonna be catching here in the bottom a little bit, but we can fix this. So we could go again to our box select, and we probably need to move this a little bit. Let's move it a little bit here, like this. See, you can't do that stuff on SUBD mesh when you have live cuts. You just can't do it because, you know, you're baked, you're done. And even before before I applied these cuts, I could have actually used a step bevel and get, you know, different size of bevel for these. You know, it's gonna be difficult for you to do it on the SUBD mesh as well. So why would I need? You tell me, why would I need SUBD on this? Like, what's the point? This will not bend. This will not move. And the geo is just being kept to minimal. It's clean, right? So why would I want to fuck around with SUBD for this? I mean, there's just no bloody point. And you say, okay, but how about if I want to bend it? Again, you know, you can. Because you just go to let's try it. Let's see if it's actually gonna work. So let's go to lattice, right? And before you go to lattice, let's actually slice it with dice, right? Whoops, not this one. Let's slice it with dice. So it's gonna be on the y-axis, and we can actually precisely see where these lines are falling, right? So slice it like this, it should be fine. So now, you know, if I wanted to bend it, right, with lattice, can we deform it? Yes, we can, but there are limits to it, right? So let me show you. So if I'm gonna grab this with the box select, right, and, you know, deform just a little bit, then we're gonna be fine, right? Shading is fine, but there are limits to it because, you know, we have a specified amount of geo that actually is running across here. So at some point this is gonna break, but it's still holding. Look, see what I mean? It's, what the hell would I need SUBD for this? I don't. I mean, there's a bending in here, okay, already, right, in this area, right? But you could still, you know, grab these two and these two and you could still subdivide them if you wanted to, locally. See what I mean? Look. And now it's smoother. So again, you just have to think what kind of tools you have at your disposal and what you're gonna do with your mesh, right? Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the vid, hope you learned something useful, and hope it helped to answer some questions that you might have had. If you do know names of people that, you know, claim that you need quads to SUBD mesh, then just send them to me. And we got a lot of mechs, and they're ready to go and harvest some kidneys, you know. So we're gonna take care of that. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you do need to buy some add-ons, then go and have a look at my video description. There are links, affiliate links to stores, Machine Store and Master Xeon Store, where you can buy hard ops, box cutter, and machine add-ons. So have a look, and by doing so, you will help the channel as well. Thanks again, have a good one, talk to you in the next vid.